We're live.
Yay!
I'm gonna still eat my food though.
Got my fruit salad. I got the food, but hey guys, we are here today to talk about latest news for the week, the latest episode of and the last episode of WandaVision that just came out yesterday. Starting off with WandaVision. Carl, speak to me.
I thought it was a good episode. Like they teased a lot of setup stuff, like of course in the episode, because they do want to have like this branch off into either their movie franchise or like their continue having this thing branch off in their television universe. But I heard a lot of different debates because like I've seen this one video from Comic Book Cast 2 that pretty much said like the TV universe is potentially separate or is confirmed. I don't know how well he can confirm that, but it was confirmed separate to like the cinematic universe. So I was just like, whoa, that's really, really interesting. I didn't expect that at all. But
So, hold on. If it's separate from the cinematic, that means it doesn't connect because people are making a speculation, and probably it is true with the new Dr.Strange movie that's going to come out next year. So everything that happened in WandaVision does not happen to the movie.
Because I don't 100% know. Like we can go through the video now and we could check it out. But like from what I saw from what he was trying to, well, I didn't watch the video. I'll say that. I did not watch the video. I just saw the headline. I thought it was really interesting. But I mean, like I said, like I don't know how well he can confirm or deny that WandaVision isn't necessarily connected to the MCU and it's its own separate like televised universe. But let me see if that video is still up. I think it was this channel. Okay, WandaVision confirms Marvel TV is not connected to the MCU. So hold on, give me a second. Let me pause it. Let me, where is it? Where is share my screen? Share this one.
Oh. Okay, I have to see this video.
Hold on, let's do this. Let me know if you can hear it. That's the most important thing.
Okay, so right now you have it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's just so many things that happen over there that we're not really going to.
I misunderstood what he was trying to say. I'm sorry.
So it is connected to Doctor Strange, but it's just not in terms of like Daredevil because they're different universes or continuity, as he says it.
Because like we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this because like I completely misunderstood what he was trying to say by this. Because I took it as like WandaVision wasn't connected to the MCU. It is. All the TV shows are. What he's trying to imply is just that other side of Marvel, right? That side that has Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. That side of Marvel, that's not connected to like the MCU. It's obviously like the conversation we had before. Well, let me pause the video. But like so I misunderstood. My fault. So I really misunderstood his video. I'm happy we watched it and I heard his opinion about it. But I 100% misunderstood his video entirely. So like what he was basically saying is just like WandaVision, everything that they're producing under Kevin Feige, under the director, under the direct tutelage of the people under Marvel, the MCU that's producing these movies, like these TV shows are connected. Like they're 100% connected to the MCU. It's just that those off-brand shows that was on like different networks, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Daredevil that was on Netflix, and Cloak and Dagger that I think was like on ABC or something like that, or Freeform or some weird network like that. Like none of those shows are going to be connected. Like
okay,
none of them. Yeah,
they're like basically their own universe, just like how when we all thought Pietro from the Fox crossed over, but no, they're just total different continuity, whatever that word is.
Yeah. Their own continuity. There we go.
Yeah, their continuities.
Mhm.
So okay, that makes sense because I'm like, how they're introducing this, and then like with Marvel, they always like to have, since they're doing that whole 10-year span, and they want
Yeah.
things to flow like into their story, starting first with individual stories, then getting to the major group stories. I'm like, if this is leading into Doctor Strange, it has to connect. Because knowing Doctor Strange, I remember seeing a video earlier in the week
Yeah.
saying that like with Doctor Strange's powers, he gets his powers from, I forgot who. So if they break
The
it,
eye
broke it
is
down.
the eye of something. The eye of it is like some artifact that he had like the majority of his power from. The eye of
Right.
something.
And like he can get his powers from many other mystical beings, and they can give him any percentage of power, which if they want to give him half of their power, he can be the most powerful being in the universe.
Yeah.
Or if they only give him like 10%, he can barely do even say transfiguration magic or something. So
Yeah.
because now he's the supreme sorcerer right now.
Yeah. Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah.
Sorcerer Supreme. So it's like, okay, how is that going to relate? Because they did mention Sorcerer Supreme. They said the magic that Wanda possesses is forbidden, or it's like a hidden magic that shouldn't have existed, but it does.
Yeah.
So him being the Sorcerer Supreme Sorcerer, he had to take notice of that, eventually.
True.
So I wonder how they're going to deal with that. I wonder if she's going to be the villain of his movie or someone greater, like if they mention Sention, if that's how you pronounce his name again.
Sention.
In the comics, he was the one that basically gave him a percentage of his chaos magic to Wanda because he wanted to use her as a vessel.
Okay.
That's at least what I saw from videos that broke down Wanda's background story. So I could get a better understanding of Wanda, because originally she was born with magic powers already, with probability magic.
Yeah.
But to be able to bend reality, that's due to the chaos magic she wields.
I'll say this, given what we know from the show, right? And it's really hard to peg what they're going to do with Doctor Strange, because like the first Doctor Strange movie, it's super isolated, right? Like we don't know how that first movie is going to necessarily like pour into the second movie, because it's one of those things where it's just like I guess the end credit scene of like Doctor Strange ended off with like that dude saying like, yo, there's way too many sorcerers around. Like there's way too many people with magic around. So I don't know if that ties into the Wanda storyline of her being known as the Scarlet Witch, because at the end of the day, like he was hurt off of the idea that like the person that he was like mastered or like under for so long, apprenticed to for so long, is gone now. And it was one of those things where it was just like he just believes like the new philosophy of just like what it means to be a sorcerer in that movie kind of was just like a little bit flawed, like the foundation of what they were like stood on. So like I don't know if that character makes a comeback and kind of just like, does his thing, completely rewrites kind of like how do I say it? Like I kind of want to say if he just does his thing where he completely just like takes the Book of the Damned from Wanda, does the same thing like Agatha does, where he's just like trying to like steal her power away from her, because I feel like that's just going to be a running theme for Wanda. Like because she's still a newbie, I just feel like everybody's just going to be trying to take their power or take her power and kind of just like use it for their own benefit. But that's just how I feel at the moment. Very interesting thing, because I want to see how that just plays a part. Like it's definitely going to be interesting. I want to see how they go about it.
Okay. Yeah. With him, isn't somebody else supposed to be with Doctor Strange too? Like what, Adam? No, that was from Guardians of the Galaxy. My bad. Guardians of the Galaxy. But definitely I want to see how Wanda and Doctor Strange are going to tie in together, because I know Wanda's going to do some next stuff, even though she went through the 5 stages of grief. The fact that because I saw a picture of like from the comics from the House of M, how she had like multiple versions of herself depending on the reality she was in. And I'm like, okay, by the end of the last episode, where when she was doing the magic, like you saw her walk into the house, but you actually saw her real self just doing the magic, reading the book. And then you like, mom, mom, mom. I'm like, oh shit, she's she's tapping into different realities and everything. So I'm like, oh, okay. We all know how that probably went in the comics. That kind of made her kind of cuckoo.
Yo, like Wanda was just, she was batshit insane for what I've seen in the comic books. Like it was just pretty like, wow, like this is crazy, crazy. Cause like you have to understand like what these characters have too. Cause I don't know if they're still going to have, like, I doubt it. Like the Doctor Strange probably at this point in time don't have an Infinity Stone no more technically, right? Cause like they're gone, right? They're no longer a thing. So it's just interesting to see how that works because like at this point in time, I think it's still safe to say that even though, yes, Doctor Strange have a plethora of abilities and powers that he could probably pull from his disposal, like the way how the MCU kind of like built this character on was his time-based abilities. And now we have Wanda, who was able to manipulate causality and, well, not really causality. I wouldn't give it that far, but like I would definitely say like she's able to manipulate like the texture reality, the thing, the way how things appear to be, you know, and there's like a slight bit of mind manipulation. So she's able to manipulate the thing that like texture wise. So putting those two abilities together and stuff like that, I don't think the movie, I think the title is very misleading because I don't think the movie is going to revolve around the multiverse. I think the multiverse being in peril is going to be an outcome of the Doctor Strange movie. So like towards the end, that's when we're going to see everything come full circle of like the multiverse of madness, how that came to be. But I think it's going to be a very like basic story because I don't want to get people too hyped because I feel like when people are expecting the multiverse to happen in this movie, like, oh, we're going to see this guy, that guy, like, no,
it would make more sense if by the ending, like you just said, it leads up to that, like an epilogue end credit saying, okay, this is a multiverse. And if this is going to relate to House of M, that's when they have to introduce the new the mutants. They have to introduce Magneto. I don't know if they're going to make her his daughter or
that's the thing. Like right now, like I feel like I understand why no writer from current MCU wants to just port, like, I understand that idea completely of not wanting to port anything that's currently established in Fox for X-Men or any of the properties currently going on. Is this going to be a writing nightmare? Because like people believe like it's just so easy to incorporate these characters because all you have to do is this is that, that is this, that is this. But like you have to understand like not the mass audiences these are what these movies are for, the mass audiences. Of course, it's still for the diehard comic book fans and the diehard, you know, like enthusiasts of Marvel. But at the end of the day, like this information needs to be digestible for all fans, you know, as much as like we already know these characters' relations and connections and history. Not everybody's going to know these characters' relations, histories. Like they're not going to take the time to want to do the research for it. And that's understandable. Like they're bypassing fans, like people that call themselves Marvel fans because they're just a fan of some of the properties, some of the movies. They don't go hard on them. Like maybe they'll watch a couple of YouTube videos, but the history and lore behind them, they don't really know that. So I understand why Marvel probably don't want to just throw things in there and they just want to build things up. How you build things up? Multiverse it. Like it's easy to have a storyline where you're talking about the multiverse or whatever, and then you're slowly setting up that foundation of things to come. Like it's not really going to be, I don't believe that this movie is going to be anything of the lines of you seeing a bunch of characters from Fox coming over. You're going to see Ryan Reynolds. Like, you're not going to see any of these actors like come over if they don't reprise their role. And if they do reprise their role, you're not going to be seeing them how you saw them in the Fox.
There'll be someone completely new.
Completely new, like probably new backstory, new lore, like new things, new about them from even that distinguish them from even the comic book. So like that's just how I feel like they should go about it because this put everybody on the same footing. Wait, what happened?
I'm saying that's most likely how they're going to do it because also for the fact knowing that, you know, Disney did buy Fox and knowing that say example Deadpool was under Fox, Deadpool may be entirely done by someone completely different if he goes into the MCU. So the Deadpool that we know of is no longer, it's someone completely different. Like Deadpool will exist under a different type of continuity by not the same actor, but that sort because of like how they want to build everything up to lead to a multiverse of saying all these characters come in. So relations that we saw from comics to their comic history to, you know, the different studios that played all these characters won't necessarily work for what the MCU is planning in the future for all these characters that they're planning to introduce. So
yeah, because I feel like right now it's too much work just to take what they have and just throw it in there, like,
yeah,
because Fox has believe it or not, Fox has a lot of content that they have kind of like been ironing out, but like they also have a lot of missed opportunities as well, because I'm pretty sure they probably want to redo some of the storylines that they probably touched on, but they feel like they could do a little bit differently, or better, you know, like if they want to be snarky about it, like they could do it probably better, right? So like that's why I feel like a complete reboot of the whole X-Men franchise, the Daredevils,
it's gonna happen.
like it Loki needs to happen, you know, because just like right now, like where X-Men stands just for like just public opinion is not the best. Like it's kind of terrible.
Trash.
Yeah, like my last favorite X-Men movie was like First Class. Like that movie was amazing to me.
And when that movie came out, what, 2016 or 2014, one of those years, and that was the first time we saw like
not it was later than that, like 20 I want to say 2013, like 2013 2012, like X-Men First Class.
Yeah,
that movie was old.
Yeah, because they came out, then they had the second to last Logan movie where he went to the past. So I think if you think about it, like in terms with the X-Men,
that
was the last two good movies of them currently, and then afterwards it was just like a flop. It was a flop.
It's just like it's one of those things where it's just like when it comes to the X-Men movies, I know that they're trying, like I think it was Ben, like, damn, I don't know the director of the original three movies, but I know the director said something along the lines of just like, he knows this is like a colorful comic book series, but he wanted to make it in a different direction to kind of make it more appealing to like a bigger audience. You know, like he wants people to understand that like X-Men for the most part, comic book series could be serious. It could be very like, I guess you could say in the sense like it could have drama in it and it could be very impactful more than just like its colorful nature of it just being a comic book. And I get it, you know, like you want it to appeal to everybody. You don't want it to look like it's just something for teenagers to read. You know, it could be something for adults could find appealing as well. So I get it. That was the initiative originally. But now it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, that's been the driving force for a lot of these X-Men movies for so long, to a point where I feel like they lost a lot of its charm of it being an X-Men movie. Like we're kind of getting into these character story arcs and these over dramatized like events that happens in these movies to a point where it's just like we lose what we're here for, and that's just for the X-Men, you know. Like First Class, like I love the dramatic, like the drama that they had like behind that whole movie, because it dealt with so much like interpersonal issues of being an outcast, not knowing who you are, what you are, and stuff like that, not finding a place, and Xavier giving these kids that place. Like that was probably the first like origin movie of a thing or a place that really hit home for like a lot of people. I think a lot of people love X-Men First Class, like how the Xavier school got built up, how he got into his wheelchair. Not a lot of movies can do that. Not a lot of movies can genuinely and honestly say like, yo, I made a movie explaining how this came to be, and it was actually good. Because you've seen Han Solo, like the Han Solos of the world, like that movie was just terrible. Like certain things don't need to be explained, like, just straight up. Certain things did not need to be explained.
When you look at the X-Men, we started off with, you know, Xavier being well established with the institution, and now he's teaching a whole new generation. We got the adult Storm, Jean, Wolverine, Cyclops. So it's actually nice to see, okay, this is their starting point. They're young adults who are still just trying to figure their way out. Even Xavier, who, while he was kind of still wise at his young age, he still felt that disconnect with the world, and he wanted to bring two worlds together versus was it Magneto, who was like, no, I don't want them, they don't accept us, so why do we have to
like we're not here to give them that level of courtesy.
Just like a building block from step one to where we saw, if you go all the way back to the very first X-Men movie, if you take it into that time sequence, that's how everything ended up. So I really did like that. So First Class was the last good X-Men
Nah,
movie.
definitely. Like I do mess with Logan, but Logan, I wouldn't say it was an X-Men movie. It was just a Wolverine movie, just a very isolated movie, just talking about him and his journey as a like an individual. But
Right.
like First Class was like my last good X-Men movie. Like
Yeah.
I still love X2. I thought X2 was an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, like I still do like Last Stand. Last Stand was enjoyable. Not the
Yes,
best movie
yeah.
ever, but it was enjoyable. I thought it was okay. The Phoenix storyline that they try to force in there just did not work because I felt like every time they do the Phoenix storyline, it's just they're doing too much. Oh, sorry. They're doing too much in one movie for it to make any significant impact. Like I just felt like Jean was just mad that whole movie. Like I didn't feel anything from it. She was just angry. Like she was mad.
When
I'm
they
just like,
when
okay.
they first showed Jean, which was it, Apocalypse, and they showing her with the Phoenix, I think they needed at least 2 more movies before they did Dark Phoenix to establish. Because you went from Apocalypse and then you went to Dark Phoenix, and then you're like, I don't necessarily care about the Phoenix. Like you just showed her powers of how she first used them. Now all of a sudden she's going berserk. She's mad. She can't control it. Like that makes no sense. What happened in the middle between it? So that's why both of those movies kind of flopped, because like you had this great idea, but in terms of execution wise,
you know what? Like I'll also say this. What messed up Dark Phoenix for me personally, like not taking into account how the comic books done it, because I haven't fully read the Dark Phoenix storyline at all. But like my problem with the Dark Phoenix storyline is just the way how they try to make it too much of a symbolic thing. Like, oh, you have this amazing power that was bestowed and granted onto you. Like this isn't a blessing. I thought all of that was really unnecessary. Like the one thing people just hate on, I'm gonna use it as an example of how to do it right. People hate on Spider-Man 3 for the wrong reasons. Spider-Man 3 wasn't a movie that had too much going for it at the time? Yes, too much things were going on in that movie. The overall focus of that movie was all over the place. Like no one knew what the focus was. And then when we got to the payoff, like the ending where everything was supposed to conclude itself, it still felt empty because a lot of plot threads got rushed. Like the closure between Sandman and Peter, like the butting heads of Venom and Spider-Man, like all of those things got rushed because there were just too many storylines happening. And not even that, it was just like the Mary Jane stuff that was going on the side. Like it was just a lot of stuff in that movie that didn't make it feel like a proper cohesive movie. But the one thing I will say, if you're going to do this storyline of someone getting like granted toxic power, let's just call it that, toxic power, right? Like the best way to go about it is how Spider-Man 3 went about it. Not the whole dumbass struck shit, but like an individual getting something that he himself don't know how to really deal with. Like he's figuring it out until he realized how it's changing them and making them toxic. It's just that in the Dark Phoenix movie, that's the part you write out. Like the part where they get this like realization. It's like you just keep them going on this downward descent, because X-Men Last Stand, I believe they set up Jean right. Like that dialogue between Xavier and Wolverine was so dope, where it's just like, yo, like you shouldn't have never locked it up, because like when you're locking up something, like of course you're gonna agitate it, like you're agitating it because it's locked up somewhere that it doesn't want to be.
And it's eventually gonna burst out, and you have no way of like containing it or even somewhat having some sort of control over it. So I wish they kind of just went with that.
Well, like I just feel like X-Men The Last Stand had the same issue too. The Magneto, as much as they love that character, like I know that the actor, the character is dope. Like I would love him in movies, but let's be realistic. X-Men The Dark Phoenix should have been 100% an isolated movie just for Jean, like 100% an isolated movie. Like Last Stand should have just focused on her and only her. Because at this point, it's one of those things where it's just like that movie could have been great and the chemistry could have been better because it's about her. Like even the death. Like I hated this so much because that death was supposed to be more impactful than it came off. But when she killed Scott because she couldn't control the power, it should have been more impactful, because it was amazing when Xavier was in the house talking to Jean and Jean didn't know what to do. Like it would have been great to kind of see that character conflict with the actress kind of just feeling like this void of just like distraught instead of just her having this dead face all the time. So it would have just been amazing having her be like super distraught or whatever. But like one of those things where Xavier was looking at her and was just like, yo, like you killed Scott because of this. Like you can't control it. Like Jean, let me help you.
Help you, bro.
Like, let me help you. And don't get me wrong, like the Magneto scene was cool too, when Magneto was kind of egging it on, like, no, be free, be open, like unleash yourself, you know, be the best version of you, like all that extra shit. Like, it was cool, but I just feel like, again, you could have taken out Magneto and still have an amazing movie on your hands.
I think if like they did it like how they showed with Wanda, where her power, she had to kill Vision twice, and how that broke her down. That they showed how it broke her down to the point where like this woman created a whole new reality. Yo, she did her domain expansion on this whole little town and gave them roles because she could not deal with what she did. Like, she was facing the consequences of her own actions, even though it was not due to her own fault. It was due to a power she doesn't necessarily have control over as of yet. So if they did that with Jean, I think her movie could have been better. But like you said, they should have had it like as a separate cause from the continuity of the other movies. They should have done that.
Yeah, because like I felt like what kills these or what killed these like superhero movies back then was just like, I understand there's a lot of content people want to work with. Maybe it's a deadline thing, maybe it's a creative thing, but like there's a lot of things that you can adapt from comic books that a lot of people like even when we talk about anime doesn't have a lot of storylines or branching storylines to go off to for a character, but obviously an anime has a lot of content that you would love to see get adapted, and it hurts when you don't see that stuff get adapted. So I'm guessing the same thing might have happened for like the, you know, comic book movie directors or just the writing staff in general, where it's just like, yo, there's so much dope content that we really want to put into it, but like we really can't, you know? So I guess now, like, instead of putting in like these through storylines, they opted in for like Easter eggs, because that's the biggest thing that Marvel's been doing lately, right? Like they've been compacting their shows, movies with Easter eggs, like a lot of them.
Like I won't catch them all the time, and I have to watch a movie like at least 4 times. Don't do that.
Yo,
like, I don't look up for them shit.
Yo, like I'll say this too, like just going back on WandaVision, and like I do want to talk about Vision for a little bit, because like I think his revelation is the most interesting, because it's one of those things where it's just like fake Vision was able to like wake him up a bit, you know, like this is your history, this is your past. Obviously, he's gonna be in a place where like he doesn't know what happened inside like the void, that dome thing that Wanda produced. So like it's gonna be a very interesting dynamic to see how that comes into play again, or if they ever going to like reconnect in any type of way again.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Like that's gonna be really dope to see. Like I really want to see how that plays out.
Because they ended it off saying that family, no matter where you are, they're always connected. So the fake Vision is still there, so they'll get back together. But
because like I'm still interested in that Mephisto theory. Like people are still speculating that the super big bad, like Mephisto is supposed to be a part of the overall like storyline. But man, like
wait, Mephisto showed up in the latest Spider-Man, or am I thinking someone else?
Mephisto is different. Like he's kind of like in the same playing field as like Dormammu, Dr.Strange, Wanda. Like he's a sorcerer himself. So like, but I think he's like a devil or something like that. And I've just been listening to people talk about him. Like I've seen Game Theory. There's a couple of videos he did on them. I saw like New Rock Stars. I saw them do a video on potentially Mephisto being a part of like the actual like overall theme of like Wanda, or he's gonna be something big for her character later down the line. So like that's just something that I was just watching and stuff.
Also, I'm looking it up. He's a demon character from the False Legend, and the most popular incarnation of Ghost Rider. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. His most notable traits are always either in conflict or interacting with Dr. Strange and Spider-Man. So
bingo, yeah.
Who knows? He probably might show up. He might show up in this Doctor Strange. They might pop him up, say, "Hey, there's Mephisto, that evil son of a."
Because the thing that I didn't know, and I recently just learned through like watching the videos and stuff like that, was Wanda's kids in the comic books, they're not really her kids, and she didn't 100% make them. Apparently, like they're like fragmented souls of Mephisto And like that's his connection to like Wanda, you know, like I don't know the full in-depth story. Like you know what? I might stop. I have to stop being lazy and just read House of M like fully. Like I gotta just stop being lazy. I'll read the shit. But like it's one of those things where it's just like Mephisto, he manifests himself through those kids. So like it's very interesting to me like why they ended off that series the way they did with the kids yelling out to Wanda, knowing that like on the comic book end of things that those kids are not necessarily innocent, you know, they harbor Mephisto in them. So I want to see how that plays a part for the character.
Oh, that sucks.
Yo, that's crazy. I thought that was insane. Like, whoa, when I found that I was just like, all
like
right,
imagine
damn.
she thinking, okay, comic wise, because I don't know if they will go, well, they're not going to go that route, but to introduce Mephisto into the cinematic universe. But comic wise, like imagine Wanda figuring out, oh, those really weren't never her kids, no matter how she changed reality. They were part of someone else. No wonder she went insane.
Oh,
no wonder.
like it's so crazy because that character is super layered. Like you never seen like it's just so crazy how like Marvel does a good job on depicting it like insanity sometimes. Like it's just such a very jarring thing. Obviously nothing to be glorified, obviously, you know, but it's just such a very like it catches your eye when you see it happening on pieces of paper and it being depicted so well. Like it's just like, oh wow, god damn, like this is kind of
like
nuts.
they were never her own flesh and blood, but they were just part of another being portraying as something that she thought she created herself.
Like I don't know if saying insanity is like harsh, but I would definitely say like mentally destroyed, like just like the things that you believed and the foundation that you set up mentally is kind of just being broken apart and you don't know how to like cope with that. Like that's just they've done a great job depicting that on screen, I mean on paper when it came to Wanda, like, when it came to Jean, like a few characters.
Because I mean, like going from her history from being a child that lost her parents, was raised by adopted, then she accidentally burned down her village, was ostracized as a witch.
Like it's
she just really went off the deep end. Like I can see why she kind of just like from what I heard, the end of House of M, she offed everything, the world, everything, and you don't know what happens.
Like I know like the TV series took like a different route, like not really going too much into her like witch history, and like she's still like a a newbie trying to learn everything, learn the ropes and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. It was an interesting take. And of course Marvel's like the MCU anyway is going to change some things about the character to best fit the narrative that they needed her to fit. So I thought that was dope.
I did like the ending scene from episode 9 where it showed like again herself learning from the book, and she's like, you can tell she's tapping into multiple realities while learning from the book at the same time. I'm like, that looks dope, but she kind of looks evil. She looks kind of evil.
And this is the I want to mention this because this is the biggest thing to me. Skrull invasion, yo, like that storyline
with Monica,
crazy.
With Monica, because she got her powers, but again, remember they're two separate, because I looked up how she got her powers in the comics and it's different here. Like she got her powers due to Wanda. In the comics it was due to an energy explosion and she got caught in it, which is actually similar to Captain Marvel in the movie wise. But
because the thing that I love about this is just that Marvel, like the writing is so smart, because like the Skrulls in nature, they can mimic anything, abilities, powers. That's why you see, if you look up like random pictures of Skrulls, like they'll look like they're souped up with like other superhero abilities, because they are, that's what they do. They steal and mimic abilities and stuff like that. So I thought that was super fire. And just for that ending, like I love the Skrulls because they're such a blend-based species. Like they can really blend with a species that is not even funny. So like if it ends off like we're having the Skrull invasion, like that's the next 10 years to come, and that's the ending, like how Infinity War was. I'm for it. Like 30 years old, I'm for that shit. Like
I mean, the only reason I would be excited for it, but the way then again, that was just one Skrull from Captain Marvel, so you may have one or two that sides with humans or something, but like I don't know how cinematic wise will go with it, because if they show by how they showed Monica saying she has to go, so I mean she's going to have to confront Captain Marvel. She's gonna have to confront Danvers. Why you haven't come back to Earth for so long to come see me? You don't even know what happened to your best friend. She's gonna have beef with her.
No, but that's okay. That's the thing that I want people to understand, because like she is like Captain Marvel's friend, right?
Right.
But she never did anything to necessarily like reach out to her specifically,
Exactly.
right? Like, because the thing about Skrulls is just like, of course they have the information, but implying it in a way where it's just like more humane, where it's just like, oh,
Right.
I've been gone for so long, let me hit someone up.
Mm.
But on the to play devil's advocate, I understand why, like, maybe devil's advocate,
Right.
maybe she can't reach Captain Marvel if she, you know, they're friends, you know, she's busy, she's a superhero, she's a, well, not just a superhero, she's a galactic superhero, so she
Right.
goes to planets in the galaxy to help them out. Cool, get it. But it's one of those things where it's just like, it's still interesting that she doesn't, you know, like that she doesn't want to reach out to a friend and stuff. So I
Right.
thought that was a little okay, cool.
And
cool.
it probably would hurt more if Monica finds out like she did came back to Earth during the war with Thanos,
Mhm.
and it's like you didn't stay long enough to see if you know your best friend is okay and her daughter is okay.
Never even asked about her much. Like, oh yeah, like we're cool, we're cool, we're cool.
Right, like,
Yeah.
and then to find out like your best friend died because of cancer. Oh, and then you know the daughter comes back after being snapped out of existence to snap back in and find out, oh, your mom has been dead for 3. Wait, what? So where's Captain Marvel? And when they brought into the episode saying that Captain Marvel could have killed Thanos after if Wanda didn't get Blitz, Captain Marvel could have done the same thing. And you saw her face; she's like. So it's like that whole conflict and how they tied in showing the Skrulls, because we know there's going to be a second Captain Marvel movie.
So
So
I
Skrulls,
really want to see how they do this, because like if they do the Skrull invasion, like I know right now the fandom has their own camps. I wouldn't say we're divided, but like everybody has their own camp of where this all is going to lead up to. Personally, like I feel like Skrull invasion would be pretty dope. People are leading towards Galactus, but I don't know how 2 and 2 would kind of fit together. Like well, you know what? Maybe I'm thinking too small. Maybe it can fit together, you know, like maybe they can do something along the lines of just like the reason why the Skrulls is trying to inhabit Earth is because of Galactus ate their world. That's why they're slowly coming to Earth, because Galactus completely devoured their
he's
world.
in World Eater. I forgot.
So yeah, so they can tie it in like that. Like I do know, I don't know why they didn't make him an Avengers movie, because I think Kang could have been a great
Wasn't
Avengers
he introduced at the end of one of the Avenger movies or one of those individual movies along with Thanos?
Well, not
He had a
Galactus,
cameo.
but like they announced like the upcoming Ant-Man movie, and their villain for the movie is Kang the Conqueror. I thought Kang the Conqueror could have been a nice Avengers villain. Like all of them have to come together and fight Kang, because Kang, the thing about his backstory is just like he's just a person from the future. He's a regular human being from the future that he comes back from, what I understood from Earth Mightiest Heroes, because that's the only type of piece of Avenger continuity that I have. So from Earth Mightiest Heroes, like he comes back to the past to pretty much fix the errors in the future and to protect it. I think the context in the series was like he was trying to prevent like the destruction of Ultron. Like Ultron was going to completely rewrite human history and completely decimate pretty much mankind as we know it. So he went back, I believe, to kind of rewrite that and fix it. But he was such a big threat in that Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, to a point where like I'm shocked they're just isolating him to just Ant-Man. Like that's just such a weird thing to me. Like they're just isolating him to Ant-Man.
I mean, Ant-Man does have what he can go into atomic universes. So
You think okay, fair.
because if like you saw, remember at the end of the movies, they show like the smaller he goes into like atomic wise into a different universe. So probably he may pop up into Kong's world or Galactus world. Who knows?
I actually like that. Like Kang actually needing the technology that like they produce and stuff like that to be able to manipulate the texture reality and stuff, or the microverse, whatever. Yeah. Okay. I like that. That's okay. That's actually pretty dope. A better plot line in the second movie. I thought the second movie was kind of just
the villain was, well, both villains were weak, but
Boy.
What's happening like in terms of like how they set up stuff, that was good. But
all right.
I mean,
I have nothing else to say. Like I did genuinely like the episode, like from beginning to end, like from episode 1 to episode 9. Like it was a very enjoyable show.
Yeah, definitely. Like all I know is like the only thing I'm thinking is in terms of like Agatha's character, I feel like she may come back and she may end up becoming that teacher for Wanda eventually.
Okay.
Because even though Wanda's learning from the book, there's going to be other stuff about the coven and just overall what it means to be a witch that she possibly can't get from the book, that Agatha is going to have to play that. Probably not a major role, but somewhat of a role to like help Wanda truly utilize all of her powers.
You know, I think they're gonna be frenemies. I could see them being frenemies in the series. That's probably why I think they de-aged Agatha, because Agatha, like in the context of the show, I want to say like she has to, you know what? I'm wrong. Maybe they're not the same age. It's an appearance thing. But I can still see them be frenemies, where it's just like Agatha throughout the franchise or throughout the TV show and the cinematic universe. They're not going to be like, they're not going to have that student-teacher dynamic, but it's going to be like, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Or, oh, I help you out, but it's kind of like this underhanded thing so I can escape and make my way. And like, there will always be butting heads, but there will always be a situation where they just come right back together, helping each other.
Yeah, they have to join hands and say, we're going to go on for just this one moment, and then we go separate ways until another moment arises for us to come back. Bingo. And I'll teach you a thing or two, because Agatha, from what they've shown, is obviously 400 or 400 plus years older than Wanda.
Yeah, I completely forgot that. So I don't even know
when they showed that she was about to be like burned at the stake by her other sisters and her mother.
And that was like 1962.
No, 1645.
Oh, there you see, there we go.
1645. So that's like 400 plus years.
Yeah.
So she has all that knowledge. She just physically looks young. So
yeah, there we go. Yeah,
she can teach Wanda another thing or two, in terms of witchcraft in that sort of sense. But overall, WandaVision, the TV series, was really good. It was really good.
Yeah,
it's like
I really did enjoy myself. Yeah.
If you have Disney Plus, you're trying to go the legal way.
Don't get it illegally, just so support the show. Support the show.
Ask your parents if you're under 18.
Facts.
If you're not, then get from a friend. Let them hook you up.
Yeah, I think Disney Plus do work like a Netflix, where you can have multiple people on the account.
That's how I was able to watch my Kiara has it, so she added a profile for me, so I'm able to watch it.
Oh, nice. Okay, Kiara, man. Cool. Shouts out to Kiara.
Facts.
All
right. So on to the next point. That was a long ass talking about WandaVision, but it was good. We talked about Marvel, like for someone that doesn't read the comics versus someone that reads the comics and shit. I understand. I understand. I'll do my research. I just won't read the comics because I don't know where to start. Gotcha. I like manga.
I'm dead. I'm sleeping.
It's not linear.